So we've seen an incredible thing happening in the Jewish people worldwide throughout the crisis in Israel, and that is an incredible awakening. There have been dozens and dozens of cases of people who we know who were not all that Jewishly activated before, suddenly buying in. People who didn't go to shul start going to shul. People who didn't light candles, lighting candles, putting on tefillin, identifying as Jewish, being more open and active in their Jewishness throughout the world, which is counterintuitive at a time when anti-Semitism is increasing, when our enemies are getting bolder, and it seems to be more dangerous to be Jewish. More people are being Jewish, which is quite an incredible phenomenon. Even more amazing than that is that the people who are at the epicenter of this crisis, the hostages, the people who are in the most unimaginable circumstances, they also seem to be switching on in their Yiddishkeit, in keeping mitzvahs. We've had several stories of hostages who have come out and said that in Gaza, in the tunnels, they started keeping Shabbos. There. They never kept Shabbos before, but in Gaza they started. Omer Shem Tov was one of them, who one of the released hostages said that he started keeping Shabbos while in the tunnels, which he didn't do before. He always made Kiddush at home, but that was all. He was keeping Shabbos. He was refusing to cook for his captors on Shabbos, and he wanted to make Kiddush. What would he make Kiddush on? He had some pretzels or something to make Kiddush on. One week they found a bottle of grape juice, miraculously, and he made Kiddush on grape juice. But that's what he's doing in captivity. Agam Berger as well. She was keeping Shabbos in captivity. She asked for a siddur, and they laughed at her, and then somehow they came and said, yeah, one of your soldiers left a siddur behind and gave her a siddur so she could pray. In captivity, she's keeping Shabbos and kosher. She started keeping kosher, refusing to eat the meat that they were serving. Eli Sharabi, who came out a week and a half ago, said that he started saying the Shema in captivity. Started praying every day and saying the Shema, and felt an incredible strength and protection from that. And Keith Siegel, who also was saying Shema every day and started saying blessings, Hamotzi, he would say the blessing Hamotzi on all the food that he would eat, the pitta that he was given. He took this on in captivity, which he never did before, but saying blessings and praying and all this. They didn't do it before. That's where you get inspired. That's where you find your Judaism, in such a place. And we understand, where else do you turn to and whatever, but still, it baffles the mind to think that somebody in such circumstances should find their Yiddishkeit there. It doesn't make so much sense, because it's not like they're in captivity and there's a Chabad house next door. There's a shul, there's a rabbi who's saying, here, would you like, I'll inspire you with something, I'll teach you. Then it wouldn't be surprising when you're in captivity and you've got nothing else to do and the rabbi is coming to visit you in jail. Okay, we understand that. Many people in jail turn to God because the rabbi says, somebody comes and inspires them. What else they're supposed to do? They're in a desperate circumstance and somebody's coming to offer them something meaningful. That makes sense. We're not talking about that. We're talking about hostages who have nobody, who are sitting there on their own with their ugly animal captors who are not there to inspire them. They're there to break them. And they're finding within themselves the inspiration to start saying Shema, or keep kosher, or Shabbat, or say blessings on their food. Where are they getting this from? So we're seeing both in the epicenter of it, the captives being inspired towards Judaism, and we're seeing Jews around the world also taking on more mitzvahs, being more Jewish, being more observant, at a time when it's hardest, it would seem, to do that. So we could say that we're inspired by them, and we can also say that they're inspired by us. There is something that's strange, and people often ask the question, why is it that in difficult times we step up? Why can't we do this when things are good? Why do we have to become so united and so Jewishly proud and so much more observant through adversity and through difficulty? Why can't we do it when things are good? So the Kabbalists answer that actually has to go this way. There's a certain power to darkness that light doesn't really have. And there's something that happens in these difficult moments that if we wouldn't have them, we wouldn't experience it. It sort of has to go this way. And if we understand the secret of darkness and the opportunity that darkness and difficulty and challenge give us, we'll understand why the greatest power and the greatest light and the greatest turnaround happens through these very difficult and dark moments. We're going to understand this and do this through an analysis one of the Kabbalists made of a Talmudic story, a story from the Talmud. And by going into, first we'll talk on the simple level, the story that happened in the Talmud, and then the mystical level of how it's explained, we'll understand this very important secret. The story is in the Talmud Tractate Shabbos, and it's talking there about a person who wanted to convert to Judaism. He was of Roman background, a Roman non-Jew, and he wanted to become Jewish. But he had a strange request. He came to a rabbi, a famous rabbi at the time, whose name was Shammai, and he said to him, I want to convert to Judaism, but I have one condition. The condition is that you teach me the entire Torah while I'm standing on one foot. I want the abridged version, I guess. I want the quick version. I want to be taught the entire Torah on one foot. That was his request. I'm going to stand on one foot and you teach me the entire Torah. That was his request. So Shammai was known as a bit of a straight down the line character. And so he did not appreciate this request. So the Talmud records that Shammai chased him away with a building stick. Shammai was a builder on the side, as all the rabbis in those times had professions. You could make a living out of being a rabbi. So he was a builder. He had a building stick in his hand, and he chased away this guy with a building stick. You're making a mockery, the whole Torah on one foot. Nothing doing. So he chased him away. So this would-be convert was not to be deterred. He sought a second opinion. He went to another rabbi. The first example in history of rabbi hopping. That he went on his one foot to another rabbi, to Hillel, and said, with the same request, that please teach me the entire Torah on one foot. Then I'll convert. Hillel was different to Shammai. He was known as being a bit more of a easygoing character. And so he didn't reject him. He said, okay, get up on one foot and I'll teach you. And Hillel told him, what's hateful to you, don't do to others. That is the entire Torah. The rest is commentary. Now you have to go and learn the commentary. And there ends the story in the Talmud. It seems that this guy successfully converted under Hillel's tutelage, learning the entire Torah on one foot. What's hateful to you, don't do to others. That's the whole Torah. The rest is commentary. Now you've got to learn the rest, but you're in. This story, it's a cute story, but we know the Talmud only tells stories because we need to know them. There must be something in this story that is relevant for us. You can't convert on one foot, and you can't learn the entire Torah in 5 minutes. What is this story telling us? What are we supposed to take from it? What are we supposed to learn from it? So the way to extract the lessons from such stories in the Talmud is to explore the details and to look at the fine details and notice the things that don't really make sense or need to be elaborated upon. What's strange in this story? What's unusual? What is something that piques your curiosity that needs to be scratched under the surface to understand what's going on here?
Why did he say it in the negative? Why didn't he just say, do unto others as you wanted others?
So that's one good question. that Hillel's answer was, what's hateful to you, don't do to others. Where's that from? It doesn't say that in the Torah. In the Torah it says, love your fellow as yourself. That it says. But what's hateful to you, don't do to others. It doesn't say that in the Torah. So why did Hillel change what the Torah said and say it in the negative, what's hateful to you, don't do to others? And is that the whole Torah? Is the whole Torah, what's hateful to you, don't do to others? That's it? The Torah has many different laws. There are laws between us and our fellow man. How do we treat another human being? There's laws between us and God. The laws of saying prayers, of shaking a lulav, of putting up a mezuzah, that's between us and God. The laws of honesty in business, of visiting the sick, of being kind to the poor, okay, that's between us and our fellow human being. What's hateful to you, don't do to others is our interpersonal Judaism. But what's that to do with our relationship with God? Is shaking a lulav an explanation of loving your fellow as yourself, or don't do to others what's hateful to you? How is the whole Torah included in that? So Hillel's answer, which was accepted, but it seems strange. Shammai's answer is also a little bit strange, or his lack of answer. Here's somebody who comes to you, wants to convert to Judaism. He's got an odd request. Well, I can say as a rabbi, we get odd requests sometimes, and we get interesting people who ask interesting, strange questions sometimes, whether they want to convert or they're Jewish or whatever it is. People ask strange questions. How do you deal with a weird question?
Giving them a weird answer.
Give a weird answer. Yeah, I'll get back to you later. There are more diplomatic ways of doing it rather than chasing them out of the room. But specifically, he didn't just chase him out, he chased him with a building stick. Are we to say that Shammai was threatening violence here? That he was actually physically saying, get out of here, I'm going to whack you? Now, Shammai was a great scholar and a very holy person. He's quoted in the Mishnah and in the Talmud over and over again as one of our sharpest minds and a great leader. He was a righteous person, not a violent man who chases people with a building stick. And so if this was his response, it must be meaningful. He was actually teaching something with this response. And he didn't just chase him away, he chased him away with a stick. And not just with a stick, but a building stick. If the Talmud tells us all these details, that must be relevant. So Hillel's response, we need to understand what's hateful you don't do to others, and that's the whole Torah. Shammai's response, chasing away with a building stick, needs to be understood. But what needs to be understood even more than that was the question in the first place. What was this person thinking? Teach me the entire Torah on one foot. What type of a request is that? And again, if the Talmud is recording that, it's because we need to study that as well. Study his request. What was he thinking? If it just means, give me the shorter version, he could say that. Give me the short version of the Torah. I don't have time. I have a short attention span. So give me the summarized one-liner headlines of the Torah. He could have said it in other words. On one foot, I'm going to stand up on one foot and teach me that way. If that's the way he asked it, and that's the way the Talmud records it, that must be meaningful as well. So we need to understand his question, and we need to understand the two answers that he received. There are many different ways that our sages have dealt with this story. One of the deepest and most profound explanations of it is found in the writings of the Maggid of Mezrich, Rabbi Dov Ber of Mezrich. He was the student and the successor of the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic movement of Kabbalah. Rabbi Dov Ber was himself a very deep Kabbalist and thinker. And in one of his works, it's called Or Torah, the Light of Torah, it records his explanation to this story. He saw it in its metaphysical and spiritual version, that there's a soulful story going on here, both with the question and the answers received by this would-be convert. The Maggid of Mezrich says the following. There is a strange uniqueness about the Jewish people. And that is that we have very big ups and very big downs. If you look at Jewish history, you see that we've had times of great glory and spiritual grandeur, living on a very high level, being very connected and holy. And we've had times of extreme lowliness, falling down into the depths, spiritually and physically as well. The Jewish people, our national history started in Egypt as slaves, downtrodden and oppressed in the lowest of the low. That's where we started. And then God came with his outstretched arm and took us out with miracles and wonders and brought us to Mount Sinai, where we received the greatest revelation in history, where God spoke to human beings, communicating his message and his mission for us in the world. The highest level that any nation has ever experienced. We went from the lowest of the low in slavery to the highest of the high at Mount Sinai. The lowest of the low in slavery was not just the slavery, but also spiritually. We were very low. The Kabbalists say we were on the lowest, almost lowest level of impurity, spiritual impurity in Egypt. And we went to the highest level of purity at the giving of the Torah at this revelation at Mount Sinai, where we all heard God's voice directly. Terrible low, terrible high. Soon after the giving of the Torah, we fell again. The episode of the golden calf happened just a few weeks later, and we were down in the spiritual dumps again. And then Moses got forgiveness for us, and we were forgiven again, and things were up. And so too throughout the desert, we're being looked after by God, incredible miracles, and we're complaining and kvetching about the food and the water, and ups and downs constantly. God is happy with us, he's not happy with us, we're doing well, we're not doing well, spiritual ups and downs. Finally, we reached the land of Israel, and after many centuries, we built the temple. King Solomon, the height of Jewish history, where there's thousands of prophets in Israel, and there's great revelation, and the temple stands, and we're like a superpower. And then idolatry slips in, and we fall, and we lose our position, and the temple is destroyed, and we're exiled into Babylon. We're about to be destroyed. The Persians take over the Babylonians. Queen Esther is the queen. We get saved. There's great miracles from the low to the high. Purim story. We go back. We build a second temple. Things are great again. Not for long. Destroyed again. Over and over. Exile, redemption, rebuilding, destruction, up, down. Extreme ups and downs. Where we're the highest of the high, the lowest of the low. This is the Jewish story. And this is not just true collectively as a nation, but also personally, every Jewish soul goes through this. If you have any connection to Jewish spirituality, you'll be able to admit that Jewish spirituality is not a smooth path. It's a very rocky path of ups and downs, where we sometimes feel inspired, connected, elevated, switched on, and sometimes not. Sometimes we feel completely flat, in the dark, and not into things whatsoever. There are times when we know who we are, we know what our mission is, and we're in line with our soul. We're aligned with our mission. We feel inspired. And it's a pleasure to learn Torah, to do mitzvahs, to daven and pray, and we feel connected. We feel these moments of inspiration. And sometimes, none of that. We feel none of it. Sometimes we're completely flat and uninspired. We don't feel anything. We feel pushed away. We feel down. It's murder to have to daven because we don't feel like doing it. It's torturous to have to learn Torah because we're just not inspired by it. To do a mitzvah, it just doesn't come naturally. We may do it anyway, but it's not easy. And we all go through these times, these ups and downs. I don't think every religion presents such a path. I think that there are other spiritual paths out there that offer serenity, a peaceful, smooth path, peace of mind, like coming to an equilibrium. And feeling at one and peaceful. Judaism never offered that. Judaism says, no, this is a path of struggle, of ups and downs. The name Yisrael means the one who struggles with God. Israel is the one who struggles with God. You're ready for the path. It's ups and downs. That's how we do it. And this is true not just of people who are lowly in their spiritual level, but people on high spiritual levels. They also go through it and they testify to it. The difficulties and the challenges and the struggles that they go through. Even a righteous person. This is the Jewish path. Ups and downs, light and darkness, inspiration and flatness. We have this dramatic story of the Jewish people. And we see it in Israel today, the huge ups and the downs, and the terrible, terrible tragedies, and the incredible light and miracles and victories that are happening side by side. This is the Jewish lot. This is the way we go. The Maggid of Mezrich says that this would-be convert to Judaism knew of this. He observed that the Jewish people go through ups and downs, collectively and personally. The Jews he knew were people who were complicated characters, who sometimes were inspired and sometimes not. And the Jewish history that he observed was a history of big ups and downs. And he didn't want that. He didn't want a bar of it. He wanted to be Jewish because he saw there's something true about Judaism. But he didn't want the ups and downs. He wanted a serene spiritual path that is inspiring, gives clarity, gives ups without the downs. He wanted to have the advantages of the spiritual Judaism, the uplifting sense of being connected. He did not want to go through those dark times, those downs. He didn't want to buy into that. And so he approaches first Shammai, and his request was, teach me the Torah. I want to learn Torah. I want to learn the Jewish path on one foot, on the good foot. Not 2 feet, not the ups and downs, but on one foot. I want to learn it on the positive side. The step forward, not the step back. The Torah on one foot. That was the symbolism of his request, says the Maggid. He wants to learn the whole Torah on one foot. It's interesting that in Jewish law it says that there are certain points in the prayer service where we're supposed to put our feet together in prayer. When we say the Amidah, the standing prayer, when we say the Kedusha, the prayer of the angels, Kadosh, 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 you're supposed to put your feet together in those points. An explanation given is because we are imitating angels at that time. Angels are described in the vision that Ezekiel had of angels of having regel yeshara, just one straight foot. They're not physical, but in a metaphorical sense, they have 1 foot. People have 2 feet, but angels have like 1 foot. And so when we're angels in our prayers, when we're trying to be more angelic, we put our feet together as if we have 1 foot. What does it mean that angels have 1 foot? Well, angels, unlike humans, they don't go through the ups and downs. They don't go through the challenges and the dark times. They don't have a Yetzer Hara, an evil inclination that pulls them down. They don't go through the darker times like we do. Angels have 1 foot. They're steady. They know their mission. They know who they are and what they're supposed to do, and they follow it. It's humans that have 2 feet, the ups and the downs. So this would-be convert knew this. He said, I want the angelic version of Judaism. I want 1 foot. I want to live like an angel who knows my mission, does what I need to do, and is always inspired, always clear, always gets it right, always on 1 foot. That's his request. So Shammai chased him away. He completely rejected him. Shammai, as mentioned earlier, was a straight down the line type. He didn't beat around the bush. He was not like a PC type of person. He told it as it was. And so Shammai's response was, you have no place in Judaism. There's no place for that. If that's what you're looking for, you're barking up the wrong tree. You just get out of here. But specifically, he chased him with a building stick. Because he didn't just chase him away. He explained to him why his request was completely inappropriate. Because what Shammai was telling him was, the entire structure of Judaism, the building stick of Judaism, is dark and light. The whole structure of the world, the whole way everything builds in this world is, and it was evening and it was morning, night and day, dark and light. This is the structure of the world. When God created the world, he created the world in 6 days, and it was evening and it was morning. That's how the world was created. There was darkness and then there was light. And on a deeper level, the Kabbalists say that the entire world is created through a pulse of God's presence and absence, where he puts his life force into the world and then he withdraws it, in and out. Creation started with the withdrawal of God's light, the tzimtzum, the contraction, where he made darkness, and then he brought some light into that world. There's always, every creation, every construct is always taking a step back to take a step forward. This is the structure of the universe. We have a pulse in our body where our circulatory system is pumping in and out, in and out. That's the heartbeat of the universe. God's light retracting and then coming back, the tide.
Does this equate to good and evil? Or?
And yeah, it has to be that way. That for good to thrive, there has to be the challenge of evil. For the light to come, there has to be the darkness that contrasts it. For us to grow as a person, we have to go through a difficult time.
Why is darkness so low? Why is darkness so low?
Darkness is a low because it is a lack of revelation. What do we experience when it's dark? No light. So what do we do in the darkness? We seek out the light. We seek to try and overcome it.
So are we stagnating if we're going dark, light, or are we going dark 2 steps?
So it's not the same light after the dark. It's a deeper light. It's that the darkness beckons you to go deeper to a new light. Just like every night brings on a new day. Not yesterday. We don't go back to yesterday. We go back to the next day. And the next day is a higher level. What happens when we're challenged, when we go through a dark time, we're forced to dig deeper. And by digging deeper, we bring out a new light that wasn't there before, that never would have come had we not explored that. An example of this is in our relationships, particularly in our marriages. You can have a relationship that is good. 2 people getting on. It's nice. Everything's fine. It's all good. That's pleasant. That's a nice thing to see. But sometimes that can become a bit flat. You know, it's nice and okay and everything. No boats are being rocked. That's fantastic. But we get a little bit complacent in a relationship. We get lazy, and you can start to drift. When a relationship goes through a bit of a crisis, when a couple disagree with each other, upset each other, say something that shouldn't have said that, forget to do something they were supposed to do, step on the toes, and there's a bit of tension in a relationship, this is fantastic. This is great. Because now you have an opportunity to actually go deeper. Where you were before was nice. Everything was nice and calm. That's okay, we like calm. But sometimes you need to rock the boat. You need to shake things up a bit to go deeper in a relationship. Because if you leave it as it was, it's nice, but it can be much better and deeper. What happens in those moments of crisis when we think, oops, I've stuffed this one up. Is it over? I need to regain this relationship. We need to get back on the right track. You go deeper, and you learn about each other more, and you become closer. Your relationship becomes closer. I'm talking about obviously a good and healthy relationship, where the disagreement is normal, good, healthy disagreements. When the foundation is good, so then having a crisis is fantastic. It's even better. Because now you're going to go deeper, you're going to be more real. You could get away with not being so real when things are fine. Just going with the flow. But when things are not fine, I have to be real. I have to open up. I have to be vulnerable. And I have to discover what I've done wrong and how I can make amends and how I can make you happy again. So we go deeper. That's how relationship deepens and goes to a higher level. I remember once teaching this idea to a group of couples getting married. And one of the couples, at the wedding a couple of months later, the groom was giving a speech at the wedding, and he quoted this idea he said that he'd gone to our wedding lessons, and I'd said this idea, I taught them this idea that every relationship needs to have those moments of tension in order to get closer. So after the class, him and his fiancée at the time left the class, and they said, I think we're in trouble. We don't fight. We've never really had an argument. Like we've never had these moments of crisis. Like we just learned that that's how you go deeper, and so they were a bit worried. And he's telling this at the wedding, and he's saying that we were nervous that maybe there's something wrong with us. He said, but thank God, very soon after that, we had a massive argument. And that's when we went even deeper. And so, thank God he was saying this story at his wedding, that it had worked out very well. So what do we do? Should we schedule arguments to get closer with our spouse? Should we have a weekly argument, set a few topics in advance that we're going to argue about each week? Well, first of all, we don't need to. It happens on its own, it happens naturally. But if we did that wouldn't work, because a scheduled argument is not an argument. It has to really happen. It has to be a moment that we didn't agree to argue. So in a good, loving relationship where there's a deep connection, it only goes deeper when there's a moment of tension, because we have to find a new layer. Now we've been challenged. That challenge to the relationship has to be overcome by going deeper and finding a deeper connection that is deeper than the challenge. Our connection is beyond whatever issue we're arguing and disagreeing about. And so too, in our spiritual relationship with God, the same thing. That things might be good. You're feeling good, you're feeling comfortable, you're feeling inspired, you're feeling connected. That's great. But sometimes Hashem wants us to go deeper. He wants to connect to us deeper. So he withdraws. He takes away whatever you had. Whatever inspiration you had is gone. The feeling you had disappears. And sometimes it's really harsh. Sometimes the divine concealment can feel like real darkness. It has to feel that way, otherwise it's not going to do anything. The argument between the spouses has to feel like a real crisis for it to actually move you. If you know that it's fine, everything's fine, then you don't take it seriously. It has to be serious. And sometimes the divine concealment is real. But it's at those moments where we go deeper, where we challenge ourselves and we grow as a person. We reveal new layers that we didn't know we had. We go to a higher place. By getting through those dark moments, you don't just get back to where you were. You go to a deeper place, higher place than where you were before. You grow, you develop, you build. And so this was Shammai's message to this would-be convert. You want to come to Judaism, but you want to come on one foot. You only want the inspiring moments and no difficult moments. You want the highs and no lows. You want God's closeness, but not the withdrawal. You want a nice, smooth, easy relationship that feels good all the time without those moments of disagreement and crisis in the relationship. It doesn't work. That's not how we build. That's not how the world is built. And it was evening and it was morning, darkness and then light. You have to go through the darkness to reach the deeper light. To get to tomorrow, you have to have a night in between. And so he chased him away with a building stick. The way we build in Judaism, the way the world is built, the way we grow is through ups and downs. If you don't want that, find somewhere else. So he got a second opinion. He was not to be perturbed. This convert thought, maybe there's another way of looking at it. We know that Shammai and Hillel, these two sages, were known to debate throughout the Talmud. And they had different opinions on everything, different ways of looking at things. And so if this rabbi doesn't give you the answer you want, so try that rabbi. Maybe he has a different approach. Maybe Hillel, who again was known as a more patient, more loving character, maybe he has a different approach. Shammai was known as a soul of gevura, of harshness, strictness, straight down the line. Hillel was a soul of chesed, of kindness, of generosity, of gentleness, expansiveness. Maybe he has a more broad understanding and a different approach that will allow just the good and not the bad. The 1 foot, maybe he'll go for this. So this would-be convert approaches Hillel with his same question. Teach me the Torah on 1 foot. Teach me the Torah that's only inspiring, that's only ups and no downs. Maybe Shammai, who's Gevura, the world of Gevura. Well, Gevura is that darkness, is that contraction, is the world of Tzimtzum. You know, maybe he sees it that way, but maybe Hillel, who's the person of Chesed, of revelation, he'll give me the Torah of revelation, the Torah where it's all revealed, where God is always revealed. There's no hiddenness. Maybe he can give me that path. So Hillel says, what's hateful to you, don't do to others. That's the whole Torah. What was he saying? Hillel was teaching an even deeper idea than Shammai revealed. Shammai had taught this person that the ups and downs of Judaism is how we build, how we grow, how we go from one level to another. When you go through negative times, it's beckoning you to go to a higher place. And that's how we grow. We wouldn't grow otherwise. Hillel says an even deeper idea. There's an interesting statement in the Talmud elsewhere, Tractate Pesachim it is, where it says that the only reason the Jewish people were exiled throughout the diaspora, throughout the world, was in order to gather converts. The Talmud says that the only reason the Jewish people were exiled out of Israel, why didn't we stay in Israel? We're from Israel. That's our place, that's our homeland. Why didn't we stay there? Why did God cause us to be dispersed all the way to Australia and every other corner of the world? The only reason, says the Talmud, is to gather converts. That we're in Australia, so some Australians will convert. There are Jews were in China, so some Chinese will convert. And Jews were in India, and Jews were in Iraq, and England and America and Mauritius, wherever we are, it's to gather converts. That's why we're exiled throughout the world. Sound right? Sounds a bit strange, no?
Was it not because of Babylon? Because of Babylon, and Shem was angry with us, and that's why?
So that's we thought that we're exiled because God was angry at us. So we were exiled, we were sent out of the land. The Talmud says, no, that's not why. If he's angry at us, he could punish us in Israel. Why is he sending us out? To gather converts. Do we missionize? Do we try and get converts? No, we don't. We discourage people. If you want to convert, you can, but we don't encourage it. We don't go around trying to gather converts. The Talmud here is saying, but the whole reason we're here is to gather converts. So this doesn't seem to fit in with what Judaism is. And if that's what Judaism is, why aren't we gathering converts? We should be bring that. Yes, we do see that by living here in Australia, people do convert, but we're not actively trying. And if that's the only reason we're here, does that justify the exile of the Jewish people, that we've been far from our homeland, oppressed and downtrodden and treated badly everywhere? But we're gathering converts. That's what it is.
We're losing more than converted. We're losing significantly more.
Correct. So the Arizal, the great Kabbalist, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, he explained this Talmudic statement that meaning something deeper. Again, whenever the Talmud says something to surprise you, it's to get you to dig deeper. What's it really saying? And the Arizal said that a convert means a literal convert, a person who converts to Judaism, but it also means a broader concept. Because when somebody converts to Judaism, the Kabbalah said what that really means is that this person has a hidden Jewish spark. Anyone who converts to Judaism has a hidden Jewish spark inside them that needed to come to the surface. For whatever reason, God sent this hidden Jewish spark to be born in a non-Jewish person in order for that spark to make its journey back and come back to the Jewish people. And to bring with it the various gifts that it gains from the outside world, it brings it back. And how does that happen? It happens through Jewish people who are living their life, not seeking converts, but Jewish people living their life in a holy way, doing mitzvahs and creating a holy space wherever they are. And that reverberates around, that energy reverberates around where sparks will come back because they feel the connection. And so everyone who converts to Judaism, it's a Jewish spark. They met a Jewish person, whatever happened, they read a book, something lit a spark in them, and they're coming back to where they belong. But the reason it's happening is because there are Jewish people being Jewish in that place. There's a Jewish community in Australia, minding their own business, not trying to convert anybody, but creating a certain spiritual light. And that spiritual light sends out a magnetic field that catches the souls that belong to us. But it's only because we're here in Australia that that's happening. If we were somewhere else, so then we wouldn't be creating that magnetism here, so those sparks wouldn't come back. It's because we're sent to Australia that we managed to bring these sparks back. And they belong to the Jewish people all along. They're Jewish souls that are hidden, that are buried, and they're coming to the surface through whatever means and returning. And this, the Arizal says, this is the real meaning of the Talmud when it says that the Jewish people are only sent into exile in order to gather converts. It doesn't mean to missionize and convert people. It means we are sent into this land that is not the Holy Land. It's not Israel. It's not a place where holiness is revealed. It's not a place where Judaism comes naturally. So what are we doing here? We're here to create this Jewish bubble, this fire of Jewish spirituality, and that will attract back the sparks of Jewishness that have become lost here, and they will rejoin. This is the deeper meaning of exile. We're not exiled as a punishment, we're sent on a mission to regather these souls. The Maggid of Mezrich, who's teaching this idea, he said that it's like a metaphor of a king who sent his son on a mission to go to a foreign land where there's one of the king's treasures has been lost in that land. And so he sends his son, I want you to go to that land and bring back my treasure. But to go there, you have to go undercover. You can't go dressed as the king's son from this land. You have to go as a local. You have to look like one of them, go there, but find my treasure and bring it home. So too, Jewish souls are sent to every corner of the world to bring back these sparks, these treasures, God's treasures that are stuck there. But if we're not here, they're not going to come back.
The sparks there because they were exiled as well.
Yes, that was sent there.
So if there would have been no exile, we would have saved ourselves a lot of problem.
Correct.
So the
Correct.
neshamas in the guise of a non-Jewish body.
Yeah. And yeah, we would have saved a lot, but God wants more. He wants to broaden the realm of holiness. There could have been just Israel, the Holy Land, and the rest of the world could just stay as it is. But he sent us around to create holy enclaves throughout the world, to gather these sparks and to spread this holiness. It should be bigger. So the Maggid explains that this idea of exile, of being in exile, is a geographical concept where the Holy Land is where we belong. Outside of Israel is the unholy world. That's not where we belong. We belong in the Holy Land, but we're sent into an unholy place to gather sparks of holiness that are waiting to be gathered, to be brought home. And they couldn't come home if we didn't go there and find them. That's a geographical sense of exile, but there's also a spiritual exile. There's a sense of being exiled, not in the physical, geographical sense of being sent to a different land, but there's a spiritual state of exile that you can go into. And that is where you could be in your holy land spiritually, or you can be exiled from your holy land spiritually. What is that? When we're in our holy land, it means when we're connected and inspired. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. We're not talking about where you are in the world. You can be sitting right here, but you're in your holy land. What does that mean? You know who you are. You're connected with Hashem. You're connected with God. You know your mission. You're inspired to be Jewish, to do your mitzvahs, to be observant. It feels good. It feels right. You're in the groove. You're in a state of the Holy Land. And that feels great. And that's wonderful. And when we're in that mode, it's amazing. And we feel aligned with our true self, and we're able to express our soul, and we're connected. But sometimes we're sent into exile. Spiritual exile. Sometimes we are not in the Holy Land. We're in a very unholy place. We're just not interested. We don't feel it. We don't feel the connection. We become distracted. And it could be that we've got involved with other things that are not so holy, and that's taken us on that path. Or it could be it's just happened. It just happened. We don't even know why or how or when, but somehow we lost the loving feeling. We lost that inspiration. We're feeling flat and numb and disconnected, angry at God, maybe, just not in the mood. We're out of the Holy Land. We're exiled. We're out there somewhere. So when we're in that state, we often blame ourselves. We say, I must have done something wrong. I was inspired a while ago, and now I'm just uninspired. It must be something wrong with me. Maybe my soul is not so spiritually connected. Maybe I'm not so in line with things. I'm a disconnected person. But no, not necessarily. It could be God sending you there. God is sending you in exile. He's putting you there because he has a mission for you. He has a mission for you there, in the state of darkness, in the state of being uninspired. And what's that mission? Well, just like the physical exile, the geographical exile, we're sent out of Israel to gather sparks of holiness to bring them back, so too in the spiritual exile, we could be sent on a mission to bring back sparks, to bring souls back who can't bring themselves back. You may be going through a bit of a dark time in your life. You may be going through a moment of lack of inspiration, a low, a darkness. But while you're in that state, you may be able to pull through. I'm not inspired, but I'll do it anyway. I don't feel like it, but I'll do a mitzvah. I'm not in the mood, but I'm going to daven. Why? Because you know what it's like. You were inspired. And you're not going to give up your whole Yiddishkeit just because you're going through a bad time or a bit of a trough or a low. You pull through. When you do that, you have brought some light into that darkness. You have illuminated that dark space that you were in. And that could impact another soul who is stuck in the darkness and can't get themselves out. You were able to get out of it. But there are some souls who can't get out of it. There are some souls who are stuck in a dark place and who have no way of getting out on their own. They can't pull themselves out. They don't have the tools. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the experience. They're just stuck in the darkness. They may have been born in the darkness. They've been there their whole life. They've never been out of it. They don't know any better. They're stuck in that dark place. And you've been sent to take them out. And how do you take them out? By you being sent into a dark space, bringing some light into it, and it touches them. How does that work? When we're talking about the geographical exile, we're here in Australia living a Jewish life, and people see us. People meet a Jewish person and they're inspired by it. They see a Jewish community and they want to join. These sparks come back because they actually see us. In the spiritual version of it, we're not necessarily talking about non-Jewish souls who need to be inspired. It could be a Jewish soul, but their spiritual space is a place of darkness. They have never seen the light. They're stuck in the darkness. But we're all connected. All Jewish souls are connected. We're one extended mega soul. And within that mega soul, there are little branches of souls that are connected. This one's connected to that one, to that one. We have like a soul family that we don't even know about. Spiritual connections with people who we may have never met or never will meet. They may be on the other side of the world. We may never bump into them, but we're spiritually connected to them. And when we go through something, it affects them. When they go through something, it affects us, without us even knowing. And so when you are sent into your spiritual exile and darkness, you go down to this dark place, but you inspire yourself. You go out of it because you do a mitzvah anyway, and you get through the darkness and you go back to the light. Like our couple, who they had their argument, but they made peace and they apologized and they became closer. They got through their darkness. So when you do that, you are sent down into that dark place. By you pulling yourself out of it, you schlep with you souls that couldn't get out themselves. They're stuck in that darkness. They can't find their way out because they've never been out of it. They've always been in the dark. Not that you ever meet them, not that you ever hear about it, not that you ever get a pat on the back or a thank you for it. You'll never know who you affected because you may never meet them. And even if you did meet them, you wouldn't know because they didn't meet you in the darkness. That's a spiritual space you were in. But because your souls are connected and you're in that dark space, you went down to bring them out. The same metaphor that the Maggid said about the king sending his son to get the treasure from the foreign country, undercover. Here, it's being done in a spiritual level. You're being sent to this dark place to fish out souls. And how do you do that? Just by going about your business, by continuing your spiritual path even when you're uninspired, by finding an inner strength to say, I'm feeling flat, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling like Hashem's very far away from me, but I'm going to open the Siddur and I'm going to daven anyway. I'll just say the words. I'm not in the mood of going to shul today. It's been a terrible week, and I don't know why these things are happening to me. But you get up and you go, anyway. I'm not in the mood of going to the shir, of learning Torah, I'm just switched off from all that. It's just not speaking to me right now. I'm angry at God, or I'm feeling that He's not there for me, whatever it is, and I do it anyway. I'll put on my tefillin, I'll light my candles, I'll do my thing. You just do it. And when you just do it in that place of darkness, you bring a spark of light into darkness. It's going to help you because you're going to get out of the darkness and you'll come back to being inspired even more than before. Like our couple, they're not in the mood of being nice to each other because you weren't nice to me. Okay, so you're going to continue with that? No. I'm going to be nice to you anyway because I know that it's going to be good. It's going to be all right. And it's going to be even better by getting through that darkness. So for me, it's good. I'll grow from it. But not only that, you were sent down into darkness to capture a soul that is stuck in the darkness who cannot get out on their own.
Is that what you would call a tradition or traditions we've grown up with? That this has come through again? Or Chabad emissaries have been sent?
Yeah. But this is something for all of us. We're all sent on these missions. When you go through a difficult time, there's several ways you can look at it. You can look at it as God has left me. Like, things were good. I was going well. I was quite happy with my life as it was. And now things have gone wrong. Things have fallen apart that I was happy with. And now I'm here at this very difficult time in my life. And it's very sad and depressing and hurtful. And I'm feeling pushed away. It's like God has rejected me. That's one way of interpreting the situation. And it would be fair and understandable to see it that way. But here's another way of looking at it. God sent me on a mission. This situation I'm in, it's not God rejecting me. It's Him pushing me into a dark place because there's something I need to gain from this. Personally, I need to grow from this. And Hashem, who knows me and loves me and knows that this is the only way that you can get to where you need to go, is pushing me into this dark place so I can go somewhere higher. But not only that, I'm going here on a mission to save somebody else. There are other people who are stuck in darkness who can't get out of it. But Hashem knows that I can. And He's sending me to get them. When the Talmud says that the Jewish people are sent into exile to gather converts, on one level, what that means is the Jewish people are sent all around the world to create light and to bring these souls back. On a deeper level, it means that you and I and all of us are sent into spiritual exiles all the time. We go through these difficult, dark times. Why, Hashem? What did I do wrong? It's not a punishment. It's Hashem saying, I trust you. I know that you are going to grow from this and you're going to capture other souls. You're going to inspire others that you'll never know. You might be sometimes on the receiving end of this. Sometimes you're the soul that's stuck there that can't get yourself out, and somebody else is going through a difficult, dark time, and they inspire themselves in the darkness, and that sends energy to you. And you suddenly, out of the blue, seemingly totally spontaneously feel a boost of energy and a strength. I can get out of this. I can get through it. We've all had that sometimes when we were down in the dumps. And what brought us out? We don't know. Sometimes we know, but sometimes we just don't know. Something just switched on inside of me. Do you know what happened? Somebody somewhere else went through a difficult time, got through it, and sent you a boost. And your soul connection allowed you to be drawn out of that darkness. Somebody else was sent on a mission to save you. But maybe this time you're being sent on a mission to save somebody else, another soul.
Sorry, can I just backtrack? We were talking about Shammai and how Judaism is about ups and downs, and then we were going to explain what Hillel meant. Is this tied up to what Hillel?
Yeah, we're going to get there. We're going to get there for sure. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. So I first want to make sure that we got that very profound idea. This is what the Maggid of Mezrich taught us. This is a new concept. This is not something that you just find in the self-help books. This is not something that's in pop psychology or anywhere else. This is a uniquely Kabbalistic idea that we go through stuff in our life sometimes to help somebody else that we never meet. That we go through a down because we're sent on a mission. Exile. You're in exile now. You're being disconnected from God. But because God sees you're his child sent on the mission to bring the treasure back. So you're being sent down to this state of disconnect to reconnect yourself and drag other souls out.
So it's not like a cognitive thing where your paths are crossing. It's just a magnetic sort of thing.
It's a spiritual space that you're sharing.
Wow.
The first version, the literal version of the converts is you're sent into exile. You're in Australia to bring Australians to convert. That's geographical. Here it's talking about a spiritual space, a level. You're on a level, a spiritual level where there are other souls stuck there. There are Jewish people who are Jewish, but they don't know what that means. They have no connection to their spiritual heritage, to their divine soul, to the Torah and to God. They just don't have it. They're stuck in a spiritual low. They were born there. Their parents were there. They were brought up in that space. And that's where they are. And they can't inspire themselves because they don't have the language. They don't have the vocabulary. They don't know where to go. And even if you meet such a person and you try and inspire them, sometimes it works and sometimes it just doesn't. It just doesn't reverberate with them. They don't. It doesn't click because they're in that. But what could happen, and we've seen it so many times, we know it and some of us are it, where at some stage in our lives, we were that person. And at some stage in our lives, something clicked. And we said, I want to explore. I want to find my soul. I want to know what it means to be Jewish. Who, where, what? You know, every person who became from, any person who grew up not religious and became religious at some stage. And so to every person who converted to Judaism. Every soul that reconnects. You ask them, so what's your story? So what inspired you? How did you know? And most will have come up with a story. But if you dig deeper, they don't know. They don't really have a story. Everyone asks you a story, so you come up with a story. Okay, I read a book, I heard a lecture, somebody told me this, we come up with something, but if you dig deeper, but why did that book speak to you? Why did this lecture talk to you? Why did you go to that lecture? Why did you pick up that book in the first place? Why did you even look at it? No one really has a story. They don't know. We don't know what it was. It was just like some spontaneous urge that comes from deep within that I didn't recognize at the time. I don't even know what it was. I said, suddenly I was interested in that book. Suddenly I'm going to this lecture. Suddenly I'm listening. And if I would have heard the exact same lecture or read the same book 6 months earlier, it would have done nothing. So why the Maggid is giving us a bit of insight. You know what happened? There was somebody somewhere else who was your soul brother and sister who went through a down. They were sent into your spiritual space. They had the education. They had the experience. They knew their Judaism enough to go into it and come out of it. But while they were down there, they met you spiritually. They met your soul. They brought a bit of light to your space and a light bulb went off. Your soul wants to come back. That's what happened to you.
I was going to say that Shammai has his ups and downs. So when he talks about a down, is this a similar thing to what?
So here's the difference. Shammai, when he answered this would-be convert, he told him, we all go through ups and downs. That's how we grow. You grow through your ups and your downs. Hillel said something deeper. Hillel said, excuse me, Mr. Would-be convert. You're coming to me saying you want to convert to Judaism. Why? What's your story? What's your story? Why do you want to convert to Judaism? Forget about the 1 foot, not foot. Why do you want to be Jewish? So he said, I read a book. Really? You know why you want to be Jewish? You're a spark, a Jewish spark, that belongs to the Jewish people. A true, sincere convert means somebody who is a hidden Jewish soul, belongs to the Jewish people, just had to come back from the outside, had to go through a journey. What inspired you to come back? I'll tell you what. Somewhere there was a Jew who went through a spiritual disconnect, an exile, a time of darkness, of uninspired moment, and they got through it. They inspired themselves and they did the mitzvah anyway, and they brought light into that space. Yes, that was good for them. They grew. Everyone grows from their downs and their falls and their difficult times. He grew. But not only that, he brought you back. Because his soul, going through that exile, brought some light to your soul, turned on a light bulb. And it was at that moment in your life that suddenly your Jewish neighbors who were there all along, but suddenly you're interested in them. Suddenly the Judaism that's been there all along, now you're interested in it. Why are you connecting to Judaism now? Because somewhere some Jewish soul went through a down and was able to bring you back. They were sent on a mission, on an exile from God to bring your soul back. And now, says Hillel, you're coming to me and saying, I want to convert on 1 foot. I want to be Jewish, but I don't want the spiritual downs. I just want spiritual ups. I don't want to have to go through darkness. I just want to go through the light. What's hateful to you, don't do to others. How would you like it if that Jew who inspired your soul wouldn't go through a down, would just go through ups? How would you like it? You'd never be here. You never would have come. Your soul is only here because a Jew somewhere was willing to go through the downs, through the uninspired moments, through the darkness. They were willing to go into exile, not knowing that they were helping you. So what's hateful to you, don't do to others. Don't break the chain. Pay it forward. You were brought because somebody was willing to go through it. You should be willing to go through the downs, even if not for yourself, for somebody else. You can't come to Judaism and say, I want the ups and no downs, when your entire existence comes from somebody going through a down. You only came because there was somebody who was willing to go through that. What's hateful to you, don't do to others. What the last thing you'd want is to not come back. Then your entire being, your soul, would be left in the dark. If it wasn't for the sake of that other person who went through the darkness. So surely you can't come and say, I want Judaism with the ups and no downs. That's the whole Torah. The whole Torah is about going through ups and downs to bring back the sparks, to expand the realm of holiness, to bring more souls back.
Isn't there time constraint in what Hillel is suggesting as opposed to Shammai? Because Hillel is the now and Shammai is after the Messiah has come. Don't we follow his lead after the Messiah has come? So what Hillel is offering now won't apply after the Messiah has come.
Yeah, once all the sparks are gathered.
Bask in the glory of where we are at the time.
Yeah, once all the sparks are gathered, that's when Mashiach comes. That's the process. Mashiach will come only when every soul is returned and every spark comes back to where it belongs. Once it's done, it's done. So what do we see here? We see an incredible, inspiring and strengthening idea that both Hillel and Shammai agree that we are all going to go through ups and downs. That was not argued upon. They had different approaches as to explaining those ups and downs, and both of them are true. We go through ups and downs because that's how we grow. Like Shammai says, the structure of the world is withdrawal to come back, even stronger. The darkness to bring an even bigger light. That's how we grow, that's how we build. And so, instead of being intimidated and scared of the next down, be willing to face it head on. And don't think that Hashem is rejecting you or pushing you away or upset at you. And don't think that it's some problem in you. Why am I going through these ups and downs? Why can't I just stay on an even keel? What's wrong with me? This is the structure of the universe. This is how it works. It's supposed to be that way. Hashem is beckoning you to go deeper. You can have a nice, peaceful relationship, or you can have one that's deep and dynamic. It's going to have certain challenges and difficulties that you get through, and you get through deeper, and you get closer. But sometimes we're happy to give that up. I'm happy to just keep the peace and not go deeper. I don't know if I have the strength to grow, all the time. Like, just give me an easy path. Then we need to be reminded of Hillel's wisdom. Maybe it's not for you, but it's for somebody else. Would you do it for somebody else? Maybe going through this down is not for your growth. Maybe that's not the point of it. Yeah, you'll grow, but maybe that's not the point. The point is there's somebody else who you need to save. By you going down, you're going to bring somebody up, who you'll never meet. But it's happened to you before. You've got through difficult times, not knowing that somebody else has pulled you through it, not even realizing it. So pay that forward to the next person. Are you willing to go through a challenging time in life if you know that you'll get through it, but not only that, you're going to save a soul? There's somebody who's stuck there who can't get out themselves. I think that these hostages who are keeping Shabbos in Gaza in a tunnel, I think that could be doing two things. It could be that all of the mitzvahs that are being done around the world at this very difficult and dark time, when Israel's attacked and people are dying and it's such a terrible, tragic time, and the Jewish knee-jerk reaction is we have to bring more light and we have to do another mitzvah, and it's difficult and dark and hard and painful, and we have to be more united, bring more love, and do more good. That reaction sends strength to a hostage in a tunnel in Gaza who suddenly, I'm keeping kosher. I'm keeping Shabbos. Where did you get that inspiration? Who taught you that? It's coming from within. That soul down there is feeling our souls who are going through the pain, but we're strengthening ourselves because we know what to do. And that's sending them the strength that they are being uplifted. And that's getting them through. That incredible faith and light in that darkness is getting them through. But I think it's also reverse. A hostage doing a mitzvah in Gaza, that is going to the deepest depths of darkness, the most painful and horrific situation that anyone can imagine. Bringing light into that space, into that place down there, that is lifting the whole structure of the universe. That is bringing light to the deepest darkness. And if you can bring light down there, the entire structure of the world is being illuminated. And there are souls around the world, Jewish souls, who are so disconnected from their Judaism that they wouldn't know what to do. And suddenly they're waking up. Who's waking them up? The hostages. These souls going through that darkness is awakening souls all over. And we're seeing the collective awakening of the Jewish people, including those who until now were very, very far from it. We're seeing on display the united collective Jewish soul where we're lifting each other up. We're lifting them, they're lifting us. We're inspired by them, they're inspiring us. And this is not just another curious episode in Jewish history. This is not just another one of those dips, another one of the ups and downs. This is a major moment. This is a moment of the true deepest awakening of the Jewish soul, of the return that our prophets said is going to happen, where every single soul has to come back. The whole reason we're exiled, the whole reason we're sent around the world, the whole reason we go through all these ups and downs was to bring back these Jewish souls, the converts, literal converts, and also the metaphorical souls that have been disconnected that need to come back. That's the whole point of exile. And if that's the whole point of exile, And if the point is fulfilled, if the reason for the exile is fulfilled, the souls that are coming back, so then exile has served its purpose. And this is spelling the end of the exile and the beginning of the redemption. When Mashiach can be ready to come, and I think we're there, maybe soon. Amen.
So Shammai is purely physical and not spiritual.
No. Shammai is also talking spiritual. Shammai's version is the ups and downs, the spiritual ups and downs that we go through. We go through ups and downs in order to grow.
But it's only personal. It's not interactive.
Yeah, he's talking about your spiritual growth. That you grow as a person through going through ups and downs. And the collective Jewish people, we go through downs in order to go up. But he wasn't talking about the interrelationship between souls. That was what Hillel introduced.
So is everyone who wants to convert got the spark? And if that's the case, why do we make it so hard for people to convert?
So anyone who successfully converts, it means they had the spark. There are some people who come and it's too hard, so they go. Okay, that's fine. We're not, we're not chasing somebody to convert. If their soul has it, they'll come, and that's why we discourage them, because we don't want it to come from us. We want it to come from you. How do we know that you've got that spark? We'll discourage you, and you'll come anyway. If we did it like other religions, right? If you went right now to an Islamic imam, or a Catholic priest, if a Jew went and said, "Hi, I would like to convert," great, let's do it. It'll be done. Like, we'll give you free furniture. We'll give you a place to live. We'll look after you. They'll do everything to make it happen. The missionaries spend billions to try and convert one Jew. The amount they pump into their missionizing to try and convert Jews, they'll pay us to do it. They'll give you anything, right? And somebody comes to us to be Jewish, nah, it's not. Are you sure you really want to do this? We're a persecuted people. You can be a good person as a non-Jew. We believe that. You can go to heaven as a non-Jew. You don't have to be Jewish to be a good person, to be close to God, and to go to heaven. What do you need this for? We have a difficult path of lots of commandments. You can just live a moral life, a good life, biblically inspired. You don't have to start keeping kosher, keeping Shabbos, living in the Eru. You keep your life easy. We discourage them. The exact opposite to anyone else. Why do we do that? Because if you're going to offer money and welcoming, so then that's not coming from within. We want to see it comes from. If it comes from you, so then nothing's going to stop you. If it's not inside you, then all the enticement in the world won't change you.
Right?
Okay.